Good evening, everyone. It's 5:06. We're going to begin the meeting of the Finance Committee of the Providence School Board. And we have enough quorum. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. The item two is to approve the agenda. So we're looking at two different agendas, but we're going to go with this one and what is on the board. Because we're going through the contract, we saw that there are three contracts on one list, but it's not here. So we're going to go with what we have here, just to let you know. So do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion.
So moved.
Second.
And second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Any abstentions? The ayes carried. Thank you. The consent agenda, item 3 and 4, do we have a motion to approve that?
Motion.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any abstention? Any oppositions? The ayes carried. Item number 5, urban schools. Do we have someone to present that?
Okay, ready? Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you? It's recommended that the Providence School Board approve a contract with Urban Schools and Capital Academy for the Office of Human Resources in the amount of $45,000 to have professional development throughout the course of the entire next year, so August 1st to June 30th. The Urban Schools Human Capital Academy is an organization that develops, supports, and networks human capital leaders in school districts in states to drive measurable improvements in teacher performance and principal quality. And they offer a variety of professional learning experiences to provide HR professionals with support needed to ensure that students have access to effective teaching and relevant content and tools to connect talent leaders across the country to advance their work. Part of this comes under the embedded effective district system, goal DS7 in the tab, to this task of retraining the human resources department. And so USHCA would be an opportunity to offer targeted professional development across the office for SY 22-23 to support this effort and facilitate long-lasting, sustained growth and change. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. Any questions from
Do we have the expertise in the district to do the retraining ourselves?
So we do have it to do it with within some of the systems that we have, but I think what's nice about this is there's direct coaching and support from people who are experts in HR that also are experts they work with other urban districts in the country to help us to make sure that we're both reorganizing ourselves in the best way we can and working across teams in the best way that we can. So it offers a level of expertise that's just helpful and sort of part of what we're trying to do within the office. And there's also materials and academy experiences that the whole office can do throughout the year in specific target areas like recruiting, absence management, and things that we're focusing on a daily basis. So it just gives us a chance to sort of touch base on areas that are a focus for our office as part of the turnaround efforts.
any questions?
Yeah.
Why do you guys think that this is needed?
Sure, yeah. So I think we've received definitely feedback within our office that there's definitely areas for growth, and I think that having the expertise of the Urban Schools Human Capital Academy, which is kind of the gold standard for school districts for HR, can help us just try to make sure that we're working towards the goals in the most effective ways that we can. And so I think having that extra layer there and to give it across the whole office is something that can really support us in driving this work forward.
And the 50 consulting hours are all for coaching, other than for travel for the consultants, or
Correct. It's all for
there's
coaching.
no breakdown, so it's just all
Yes.
direct
Yep.
sessions
It's-
with our HR staff.
That's right, and that's all part of it. So it would be all of that. And what's nice is that we can make the coaching sessions into what we want them to be. So that could be cross-team training, that could be based off of recommendations they have for the office. So it really is targeted in the ways that we would need and would help to facilitate a lot of that change that we're trying to do as an office.
And all staff in HR would be going through with it?
All staff. Yep.
Any questions? Thank you. I have just one question.
Sure.
You have a contract with you, right?
Sure. I turned out my piece of it.
I'm looking at the last page because you explained everything to us now.
Yep.
I was thinking in this proposed budget, even if
Yep.
no values attached to it, we should have a list of all these items. the list
Yes.
of the items that goes with what you just explained to us.
Yes,
And I,
definitely.
and I believe we've already said that over time that we would like to have those lists of, okay, specific things that this is gonna do. Proposed budget, 0.
So what we can do too is, and I can break it out, I wrote it in that first paragraph that includes the 50 direct hours of coaching, the virtual modules and the access, so like, happy to also like list those out, and that's all part of the package. So I can definitely list those out.
Please help us list that out so that we know. I mean, some might not be able to say, okay, this is the dollar amount that is attached to it, but if we have the activities,
Yep.
so we'll be able to follow. If we want to ask question about it later on, how did this happen, and we'll be able to know that this exactly this went wrong, this did not go right. I
Yep.
think it would be helpful for us to be able to look at this is what we're doing. Please.
Absolutely, yeah, and I put that the first paragraph next to broken out in the last section, so I can do that.
Okay. So we're gonna have to like ask for motion subject to
Yep.
you
So
giving
I
us
give
that.
that list, of course.
Do we have a motion to do that?
Motion.
To approve.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstention? Any opposition? Guys, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You have a problem? The next one? Yeah.
Hi there, my name is Amanda Reynolds, I'm representing the TNTP Middle School today.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So in school everywhere, what you'll find is that cell phones are a huge distraction. And what we're looking for is a way to solve that problem. Yonder is one of a kind company that offers a patent product that every student receives his or her own case. They come in, they put their phone in, it's locked, they can't get in it, it's done. There's kind of an art program where they decorate their little, it becomes kind of like a piece of their own, so they're not losing their product, but they're not able to be distracted by it in the classroom. Not only are we losing instructional time, we're building drama time, right? Because while we're in the classroom, we're using our phone to find out what else is going on and where we're going to meet someone and how we're going to disrupt the learning day for, hundreds and hundreds of students. So this program, because it's one of a kind, it's the only company that offers. So we're looking at a cost of $11,600. So we're seeking approval here. I was told to be brief, materials are in front of you, let me know if you have any questions.
Have you received any feedback from the parents as it pertains to this?
Parents and PTA are all on board, they're excited about it.
Are they?
Yeah.
Just want to make sure.
Any question?
What's your relationship with the company? We're seeking a relationship with the company, we don't have a relationship.
You don't have.
So the company nationwide has,
But sometimes we have people come to finance that actually represent the industry, so I was trying to understand the relationship.
not at all, this has just been an exponentially growing problem. So just teachers doing research, our instructional leadership team doing research, what we found is this company that's active in 400 districts throughout the nation, and they're just having success after success after success, and we've been reaching out and hoping, and this might be our opportunity.
I was going to ask, what's the current process that Nathaniel Green goes through when you're trying to get students to actually put their phones away? Do they actually listen to the teachers? Because I'm kind of scared that if we do this, and I think it's good to keep phones away, if that was to happen and we was to lock them, I'm scared that students is going to reject putting their phone actually in that case as it pertains to them locking it up. So I wanted to know sort of like what's that relationship with as it pertains to like when you're telling students to put their phones away, do they actually listen or do they get pushback on that?
Well, the Providence public school policy is the students are to use their phones at all, right? So we're just looking for ways to enforce that, right? So the expectation is you're not using your phone at all. So this is just to help make that happen. In terms of compliance, we're not very worried about that. There is some professional development to help support that. there are also ways to help students kind of own and appreciate this. And then there are kind of emergencies, exemptions. You know, if you're freaking out, you can talk to your teacher. You have the opportunity to unlock and move on with your day if you need to. But and counselors as well, and community specialists, they'll all have, you know, the magic key to unlock your phone. But the goal here, and teachers will also, theirs won't be locked, but it's Velcros so that they can model appropriate cell phone use. But the goal is just to teach time and place, right? So none of you are on your phones, right? Because this is not the time or the place for it. And our students, we know that cognitively, they're not able to disengage from their phones. There's so much research out there about the true addiction and the need to check their phone every 5 seconds. And so we're just looking for a way to break that barrier and engage back in learning.
Just one question. Those every teacher gonna have develop in the classroom?
I'm so sorry, I didn't hear you.
Does every teacher is gonna have develop in the classroom?
Yes.
So we looking to buy 1,100 copies of Younger, right?
Yes.
1,000.
Yes.
What's the population of the school?
950-ish is the expected population next year.
Have you done a trial?
And it accounts for 10 to 15% loss as well. So they anticipate students cutting them open, right? Like there really is like the freak out of, oh my gosh, I can't check my phone. I might die. It's real. It's real. So the part of the contract expects up to 15% to be damaged, lost, broken, etc., and to be replaced within the contract.
No.
And which have you did like research on it as it pertains to certain school districts that use sort of this or no?
Can you be more specific in your question?
Yeah, any other districts around like Rhode Island or the United States in general that use this, what's the name of it? I forgot.
Yeah.
Yes.
There are inner city schools in California and Texas. We would be the first in Rhode Island, which would be exciting and perhaps a first step for the state.
Absolutely. And how useful is it in California? Is it like a
Oh
good
yeah,
success
no,
rate?
they're like, success is exponential, which is why we've been researching this for about 2 years, and now we finally kind of had the opportunity to jump on it. We've had a lot of issues this year with it, post-COVID, everybody back, but because everybody was home for so much time, they kind of got extra addicted to their cell phone. So the opportunity to again break that barrier, and it's a cognitive attachment. Like they're not thinking, I want to be disruptive or I want to not learn. That's not what's happening. What's happening is if I look, I'll see an alert, and that will release chemicals that make me happy. So that's where their minds are. It's not a conscious thing, it's a subconscious thing, which is why we need something concrete that can break the barrier and return us to learning.
Excellent.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'll wait. I'll hold my question.
I'm just gonna be frank. I mean, I think students will leave the classroom and then they will have their phones again. They'll become adults and have their phones again. It's a lot of plastic. There's so many other things that I'd like to do with $11,000 in the district. It's not clear. We haven't done a pilot to prove that this is going to be usable. I don't understand why this would be better than just putting a lockbox in the classroom and having everyone put their phone in a lockbox that you close. That's $5 per classroom. I really am not convinced by this idea.
So the logistics on a lockbox in every classroom would be quite difficult. So the benefit of this is that every child gets to hold and keep it, right? They're not losing it. They're not submitting to a teacher. There's no authority here. It's me and mine, and I get to have it, and I get to take it with me. And so I'm in control, and I'm not giving up my property, which is kind of a big deal. And then it also leaves teachers out of responsibility, which is also a huge deal. And again, we're talking about time and maximizing instruction. So this is quick, easy, a few minutes in the morning, a few minutes in the afternoon, and we're said and done. The 400 school districts that have, nobody's stopped after 1 year. If you look at Yonder's data, nobody's after 1 year said it's not working. Everybody has said it's working. Where they're getting a lot of their money actually these days is events. So I want you to come to my wedding, and when you come, I don't want you to use your phone. So I've got Yonder there. I want you to come to a big important event. I don't want you on your phone. So I've got my Yonder there. I think that in terms of breaking the cognitive attachment to our cell phone to be able to engage in what is present, I think that's where we're headed in terms of moving forward. And that's what our students need.
I want to go.
No.
I'm not gonna lie. I think it, in a way, it probably could be useful in a way. I would say that I would prefer that that sort of like slips or something goes home that the parents approve that it's okay that we are able to lock their child's phone up. I think that's my only concern as it pertains to that. To be honest with you, I really probably the money could probably be spent somewhere else, like you said, with a lockbox. But I do get your point of view where they will actually be able to hold their property on their own. They won't have access to it. So maybe I don't know. Maybe we should look into seeing sort of if there's exemption forms or seeing if parents are able to sign off on it, if they approve that this will be useful for their child or they think that it would benefit their child. But that would be my only concerns on sort of safety reasons and issues because a lot of parents, definitely in middle school, give their children or child the phone or their phones, even though it's not protocol, but we know that they're using it in sort of like a different way. But the reason why they give them phones is for safety reasons as well. Also, I don't know if you should also look into it as it pertains to if we lock their phone up, we give them at least some time at the beginning or the end of class to at least open up the phone and check their phones and stuff. I'm not trying to break policies and
No,
stuff,
no, no.
but just so they're able to at least access their phone for a couple minutes and then lock it back up. I don't know. That's just like my few suggestions. I didn't get to really think much about it.
So we did have an open parent forum, and the only issue that comes up is what about during an emergency?
Mhm.
So that's the benefit of every teacher having one, right? So, I mean, if it just like I have to use the bathroom or I have to see a counselor or I have to whatever, right? No, I'm having a moment. I really need to check my phone. I'm nervous about something or something happened this morning. I need to check in with my mom. There will be exemptions. Or maybe students ask to go see a counselor, they talk to the counselor. I need to check in with somebody. Okay. And then we also reminded parents that they can call the school. And while they've kind of avoided that because they can call their kids directly with their phones, it's still the safest way for us to account for all students. So that was the only issue when we held a parent forum. Overall, parents are, I just want to know mostly parent safety concerns are about after school. So the bell rings and then my child, right? About pickup or how are they getting home or what else are they doing? And by then their phone's unlocked and so parents aren't concerned anymore.
Are you a teacher or not?
I was for a good long time. I'm an assistant principal.
Oh, okay. My apologies.
No problem.
Apologies. I'm just a bit afraid as well that teachers will also abuse this model as well. So say a student really does have an emergency. I'm afraid that teachers are going to be like, no, I'm not doing it. No, I'm not going to let you open up your lockbox or whatever. Sorry, I don't got the name. But that's what I'm afraid of as well, is sort of teachers abusing that.
Power,
So
sure.
yeah, their power. So I don't know. I'm gonna go with my colleagues on this one. I want to hear more from you guys as it pertains to this. I do see the benefit in some ways, but then I do have some questions as well.
I think we'll run into some barriers and obstacles in terms of how it'll impact the culture. This will be a huge shift, right? 5 minutes ago, students were in complete control of their phones, right? And now they're not. That's a huge shift across an entire building impacting 900 plus students, right? So that'll be a big deal. And so in that big change will come barriers, obstacles, issues, things that we have to learn, nuances that we may not be familiar with at this time. However, the benefits in terms of allowing students to get back to why they're in the building, and that's for learning and for teaching and for growing and for developing and understanding who they are and how to become better people, they need that without their cell phones.
And I agree with you 100% on that. And so it is for any new innovation. Things are going to come up, and you may not learn lessons now, right? You may be like when it's happening, that's when you find out these are the things we need to do, these are the controls we need to put in place. But they need this to, as far as I'm concerned, I think this is a good way to go to checkmate and to make sure that they put them in control. So at least I think we should give this a go. We should give it a trial, and hopefully the whole school district will be able to learn from the successes of this and copy it. That's me.
I think we should move to a vote with the full agenda.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie, I do have a lot of questions about this. I want to know, is it possible for us to gather more information and bring this item back up in August, in the Finance Committee in August? I want to know if that's possible. Unless if we move to a vote, to either vote for it, I would love to follow up to make sure that there are certain policies put in place for exemptions, also for how teachers are actually going to use this system?
So the system comes with logistics and then professional development for sub-logistics. So there's professional development for administrators and then for teachers as well, and then for how we interact with our teachers. My only concern in delaying would be not being able to start the school year with a fresh system and a way to impact our culture.
Okay, we'll move to a vote. I'll follow up, and then we'll go from there. I agree. I think, all right, let's just go. Let's go.
So why don't we do this in the interest of time? Why don't we just like what we suggested? Let's make a vote out of finance. We'll go to the full board, school board,
Okay,
and
finish off the questions.
finish up the questions
We'll
and
do that.
everything. I think that would be nice. Do we have a motion to do that?
Yes, motion.
So move. Second. Good. No?
I'm
Second.
not supportive, but
Okay.
we can bring it to the full school board.
All right. Any opposition? Any abstention? All in favor of that?
I'm opposed.
You're opposed to that? Okay. So there's one opposition.
I'm an aye for that.
Aye. Am I?
Aye.
Aye. So we have 4 ayes and 1 opposition. Motion moved and motion carries. We will put this before the full school board. If you have further questions, we'll get in touch with you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Rat sports. Did I say it right?
Yes. Good evening.
Good evening.
So I'm Jason Minot, the Director of Operations, overseeing athletics for the district. Along with me is Athletic Director, Mr. Palazzo from Classical High School. And we're requesting $676,170 to replace the football field, outside football, soccer, field hockey, multiple sport usage field outside of Classical High School. The current field is 14 years old, which is past its life expectancy, so it's time to be replaced, and that's why we're here before you.
Thank you. Any questions for?
So this comes from what bucket of money? These district funds? It's just not listed here.
It's not this way.
Yeah, we'll use a combination of district funds and extra dollars from this fund.
It went up to bid and this was the best bid.
We have another bidder who was slightly lower. However, his bid is, we're looking to nullify his bid. He's currently in litigation right now. And one of the questions on the bid was, are you in litigation? He put no. So we found that he is, and we have an active case number out of Springfield, Mass. So this was the second one. So we just, that's where we're looking to move. But we did go out to bid. Yeah.
Just a suggestion. There's no way, it's just a hypothetical. There's no way that we can use these funds and find sort of, I'm not even gonna go with that. I'm not gonna go with that. I'm gonna keep my hypothetical to myself.
Okay. My question is,
Sure.
so the one we're using right now, thank God, when 14 years passed, the life expectancy.
Yeah.
So the one, how guaranteed are we that this one is gonna be like 18 years before we think about spending?
It does come with a 10-year warranty.
Yeah.
They guarantee it. This is also the company that just finished putting in the Mount Pleasant High School field at Common Stadium, and they also did Buckland Field on the south side at Gilbert Stewart. So this is that same company who put those in. Very good reputation. Foxborough Stadium, they put in Gillette Stadium turf. So, but it does come with a warranty on it as well.
How did we use the first one? Those companies they're not existing anymore.
That's why I brought Mr. Palazzo here, as I wasn't around 14 years ago. So,
He's calling me old,
Okay.
but same company, different name,
Oh.
same gentlemen that are operating. John Chaffin being the key guy, who's part of that project. and RAD was a big part of the remnants of RAD. They've gone through a few changes in name, company, and so on. But the construction engineers are the key guys. So it's like anything else. When you find someone, and I think that's one of the issues in the city that we have, when you find somebody that's reputable and it works, we should stick with that company.
Right.
And again, sometimes we pick on pennies and so on, but I'm that old school guy. If your boiler breaks and you have a good boiler man that you can trust, a better example is a mechanic who you can't find in this city. When you find a good mechanic, you stick with them. If it's a few more dollars, in my case, I've had tremendous success with RAD. They've been a reputable company in the sense that they've innovated they'll be putting down a pad on this turf as they did with Conley, which extends that life expectancy. More importantly, it extends the concussion ratio, the athlete ratio. It just kind of knocks it down, So that's where everybody's going. So we're keeping up with the Joneses. The safety is at its highest priority. We're not pinching pennies in that regard. We're staying away from the synthetic infill because of our climate. We're so cold. We're finding out that the synthetic freezes and rips the turf. So we're staying with what works, with the rubber pellets across the city. When the sun comes out in November and it comes out in March, snow melts because of the rubber and the sunlight and so on. Some of the other parts of the country, the synthetic infill works for them. It's a cooling agent in that regard. But so we're trying to stay on top of all those things. And it's one of those innovative things we've done in the city. It's part of our management process, just like we're moving forward in education, trying to keep the best possible, key ingredients involved in education. We're trying to do the same thing in athletics. I know that we, as I said, several of our schools, including, I believe you played on the field a couple of times.
I did.
You did. So it services many, many parts of our community. I was just talking to Jason about this 350 youth football families that are playing on it right now. That in the beauty of what the school department does, we don't charge those youth football families. They just play on the weekends. So it does make money. Also, we do have a rental income. Batiste can talk to that, but it generates adult soccer, the Guatemalan culture. Guatemalan, it seems to be very prevalent in this side of the city. They're there every weekend. If you go by, you'll see a whole world in front of you. So it's doing a lot of work. It's just it's just part of maintenance. It's like anything else. So I'm praying like you. We got 4 extra years out of this. And when I asked the construction engineer, when he first put it in, because we were the first one, besides Moses Brown, to actually have a synthetic turf field in the city. I said, what should I look for? He says, well, put a plastic water bottle out in the sun for 10 years and see what happens. And he said, eventually the plastic is going to blow away and you're going to have a black rubber field. So that's almost where we're at, but so far so good.
It has faded, I may say.
Yeah.
I want to know, what are we going to do to keep up with it?
So part of this comes with the same thing we got at Conley, all the new materials, the grooming comes with it, the machinery to rake the pellets to make sure that it stays evenly distributed. So they do that, and they do a training program with our grounds crew. So which Conley has been held up very well since they put it in. They do it according to specification, and they're around the corner. They've come several times if we have questions to work with the grounds crew if we need them. They're very responsive.
Now, what is it? So I was on quite a few times. I was on the intruders field, which is the one on Buckland Park.
Yeah.
They don't have the pellets. So what's the difference between the pellets and not having the pellets?
They use the EnviroFill. It's the green one, but they're better for the environment, but they're much harder. So they've been known to rip through uniforms, through knees, things like that. So it's coarse compared to the rubber. The rubber's a little more forgiving. So it's designed to be a little more environmental friendly. So that's the reason they went with that one on that field.
And now, how many, out of all the high schools that we have, how many fields do we currently have?
So we have 3. We have 2. Conley Stadium is Mount Pleasant, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Classical has theirs, and then Hope High School has their field, but that's just a natural grass field. So we'll have 2 turfs and 1 grass, and we're not looking to change Hope into turf. We're keeping that 1 grass.
The reason why I asked is people was asking me that before. So okay.
Yeah.
Is there any room over there?
There's good grass
Is there
though.
any room at JSAC over there? No?
No, there's no room. We got that baseball field, but they don't want to change it.
No.
So. But I think it's needed. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of youth sports teams play there. Not only that, Classical has a good football team that I believe just won the championship.
All right, one, I brought it
I
for
know,
you.
I seen that. I know. Marquise is one of the he's very talented young man. So I have no problem because Classical they treat all of our young folks. They treat them well. So I'm gonna have no problem
Great,
with the
let's
program.
do it. Let's go. Let's move
So
on.
the only adjustment.
You can't talk some more, let's talk some more.
We don't even have that time much now. So the only adjustments, just like Dr. asked earlier, the funding sources, you're gonna have to like split it out between
Okay.
district and ESSEC, just like,
I will.
any other question? Do we have a motion to
Motion.
so move? Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition, any abstentions? The ayes have it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
No, I'm going.
Oh, oh, we got the-
Action floor system?
Yeah, that's us again.
Oh.
This is an amendment to an approval that was granted via this board last month to replace the track inside of PCTA, the field house here with the Mondo surface. Since we got the approval, we met with the vendor in there again, noticed some significant wear and tear on the runway for the triple jump, which we didn't notice originally in part of the original bid. And then if you've been in there, there's also the sand pit covers. Those are bent beyond repair. So in this bid right here, to amend it, all through Action Floor Systems is to replace the runway, the triple jump right on the side of the track, and replace the floorboards to continue with the safety piece over the sand pit for the triple jump. These will be custom fit to fit that size, which is now we have a generic one, and once they're weighted in the middle, so they kind of bow now, and they're pretty much a trip hazard. So we're looking to do the custom fit one to the side. That place is also the gym for PCTA in Central during the day as well.
And that's $31,000.
Is this ESSA funding?
This is district.
District funding?
They already put that in.
Okay.
I did some amendment. Okay. Any question? In the absence of question, do we have a motion?
Motion.
So move.
Second.
Seconded. Any, all in favor?
Aye.
Any abstention, any opposition? Ayes got it. Thank you so much. Medify hair purchase.
And that's
Yeah.
my final one.
Okay.
So I'm also in charge of the PPE for the district as well. So one of this is the Medify, this is for the filter replacements for all the HEPA filters throughout the district. So as we're getting ready to roll out a new year, we're gonna obviously need for replenishment on hand for when needed.
$1,500. Okay.
So there's 2 per machine, so it's 1,500 sets, so it's really 3,000 filters.
Okay.
So, yeah, there's one on each side on these machines. These are the third attempt that we had for machines. They've proven to be the best, the quietest, don't interrupt teaching and learning. So
Do any of them need to be like replaced or no?
I do have a significant number on hand if they do need to be replaced, but as very few have needed to be, probably 7 to be exact, this last school year. And I have enough to do that if we come back and we realize that I do have a few in the warehouse that I can cover if need be.
Yeah.
Everyone get your booster. I think we've approved this contract before. I looked at it,
Yes,
you
yes,
know.
yes, yes. Do we have a motion to move it?
Motion.
So move. Second. Any, all in favor? Aye. Any abstention, any opposition? The ayes have it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your support.
Renaissance Learning?
Yes.
Hi, how are you?
My name is Jen Connie, I'm Chief Data and Assessment Officer here in Providence. Today I'm bringing to you Renaissance. It is a renewal, a contract renewal. Providence has used Renaissance for many years. It's commonly used throughout the state. It is our screener for reading and math that we use when all students start the school year. We also use it for progress monitoring throughout the year. So the goal is that we are looking at our students when they come in the beginning of the year, where they're at in reading and math. We're able to support decision-making in classrooms based on students that need either enrichment, intervention, and we continue with the progress monitoring again mid-year. It also is correlated to RICAS,
And so we use that piece of information as well to get an understanding of where our students are expected to fall on RICAS and where we need to alter instruction to improve their reading and math skills along the way.
Thank you. Any question? In the absence of questions, can we have a motion?
Motion.
So move. Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? Any abstention? That's carried. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Me too. Saga tutoring, rather, sorry.
Hello, I'm Ruth Corley. I'm supervisor of math for the district. So I'm bringing to you a renewal of our Saga tutoring contract. So Saga offers high dosage tutoring during the school day at 4 sites. It'll be 4 sites next year. It'll be at Hope, Central, JSEC, and Mount Pleasant for next year. It's it's during their math lab period. It's a period that these students already have. It's specifically geared towards Algebra 1 because research shows that passing Algebra 1 increases graduation rates by 75%. And we have, as you probably know, a great need in math right now.
Question?
Is this it's a renewal you said?
It is a renewal.
Has this worked in any of those redesigned? I believe those schools are redesigned. Has this worked last year as it pertains to that? Was it effective?
Yeah, so this year was this past year was the first year that we had Saga here. And I'll be honest that it got off to a bumpy start and getting systems going and getting the personnel and getting everything aligned. I started in January, but it has been successful. It has shown growth across the board for students. And I'm really confident that moving into next year, we are having meetings now. We have personnel hired. We have it fit into the schedules. We have the curriculum and we're strengthening the curriculum. We're going to be collecting data on not only, so what we have data on is that it has shown growth on Saga assessments. What we really want to look at next year is Saga assessments compared to our district assessments, compared to our course passage rates, really looking at attendance as well, because that's another part of this initiative, is that if the student sees the same tutor every day, and it's going to be 5 days a week tutoring next year, if they build that strong relationship with someone in a small setting every day, that will also increase attendance rates. So we did see some of that happen this year, and I think we're looking for greater gains next year.
The reason why I said that, because I would have loved to see sort of like the data as it pertains to the growth, because this is over $1 million worth of a contract. So I don't know exactly if it worked last year. So that's the reason why I asked that question. And then also, this is a lot of money as it pertains to that as well. We have 7 high schools. Is there a reason why it's not in any of the other 3 high schools?
So we chose those 4 schools. Those schools also expressed interest. So not every school offers what they call a math lab period. So these are 4 schools that do offer that period, and so it's providing kind of a curriculum and structure around that period, so they seem like good fit. And I think that if we show the success that we are hoping to show next year, then there's the potential for expanding.
So these tutors aren't replacing the instructions that
No.
the teachers are giving, they're coming in during this free period.
Coming in during that free period, well, they already have it in their schedule as math lab. So what that has looked like has been a teacher with maybe an online program, not high dosage tutoring in a small group. So it's a group of up to 3 students with 1 tutor consisting groups. So it's not even a free period, it's just a strengthening to their math lab period.
And how many hours is this paying for per student?
It's every day. So during that
Every
period,
day.
1 period
Math tutoring for
Math
every
tutoring,
student
yes.
in each high school.
for 9th grade, 104 students at each site. Yeah. It's a good number.
So for me, I would say I would agree with Tara. I think definitely being able to see kind of the results aspect of it, since it is a pretty large amount for and what's being asked. So I think that being able to see that attached somewhere
Right, and
will
we,
give us a better perspective in terms of what we're looking at.
we do have that data, so I can share that data. I will say they've piloted this, Chicago, not just piloted, but their Saga works in Chicago, New York, a few other districts. They did a big study in Chicago using the same model that we're gonna have next year, so a more intensive model. And it showed 2.5 years worth of growth within 1 year for those students that have it.
So we look forward to getting the data.
Yes.
You go ahead.
No, I'm just following up with what you quoted. You have a question?
No.
In general, I think this is a really high impact way to make a difference for our students. We know that learning loss in math is greater than in, English language learning during the pandemic, and our students really need this boost. Ninth grade seems to be really great for that, so I'm very supportive of this.
Yeah, but I know with me, I just want to make sure that the data aligns with the approval of this. Because I just don't know if it was effective. We don't have no data showing that it was effective, and with over $1 million, we could use that funding for something else. But if we can please share the data on how effective it was. I know you did say you started in January, so I do want to be mindful of that. But I would wish to have seen data showing that there has been improvement in these 4 schools as it pertains to Saga.
I have a suggestion. Can we make a motion subject to getting that data that is crucial for the full school board? Do you have a motion to do that?
Motion.
So moved. Seconded. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition?
I'm opposed to it.
Yeah, okay. So we have one opposition, we have 4 in support. Any abstentions? The ayes carry. Thank you. So we look forward to getting that.
Yes.
TNTP,
I would ask if you move that later in the agenda, the person who's presenting it.
aye. Discovery.
Hi, I'm Emily Liza. I'm the science supervisor for Providence. And this is a proposal for our high school science curriculum for next year. So this is, we went through the full process for the RFP with teachers involved in the process, and we listened to 4 different proposals from 4 different curriculum companies. And with high school teacher leader input, we settled on Discovery as the program that we wanted to present to you all. Discovery is obviously it's from the Discovery Education Network, but they've created what's called a science ebook. It's a fully digital online resource. It has biology, chemistry, physics, and environmental science as the 4 core classes, as well as like additional resources that we could pull in for elective science classes that exist throughout the district. What teachers will be getting through this program is what's called an ebook. So it's not a physical textbook that they get. It's this interactive ebook that can be translated from English to other languages. It has videos embedded within the chapters. It has checks for understanding for students where they have to engage and move things around on their Chromebooks. So it's a very kind of interactive way for students to be engaging through their text. It can also be adjusted for different lexile levels as students are accessing the material that's required within their classrooms. In addition to the e-resource or the ebook side of it, it also has the full curriculum for teachers. So it comes with unit plans that are aligned to the NGSS standards, which we use for all of our science core classrooms. It has daily 5E lesson plans, which is our standard lesson plan template that we've used in the high schools for science. It also includes a bank of assessments, as well as common labs that we can be using across all of our high school core classes. And those are all pre-built out for those 4 core classes. And then in addition to that, you get the extra bank of resources from Discovery. So some of the kind of like fun aspects of Discovery, like Mythbusters and all these Shark Week things that they do for their TV program, students have access to a lot of resources, videos, interactive things to learn about different ways that you can be a scientist in the world. And one of the high points that teachers were kind of noting was that for the first time, a lot of these additional resources actually felt relevant and truly engaging for a high school audience, because a lot of time with curriculums, they can feel aimed towards elementary or middle, and kids don't really actually buy into what they're watching in their classrooms. So that was kind of the standout piece that made a lot of teachers feel like this was something they could really weave into what they're already doing in science, but be the common aspect across all of our high schools, which is our goal for our high school core classes, is moving towards a common scope and sequence, common assessments, and common lab experiences for all of our students in those lab classes that are required for graduation.
Thank you. Questions?
A couple months ago, I think I did a school tour with my rally, walked into one of the science classrooms in high school, and there was a science teacher, and all the students were sitting there with their computers in front of them, like kind of glued to the computer, and I'm assuming these curricula vary a lot in how much of them is like online versus how much is expected of the teacher to do chalk talks and that type of thing. So how did you think about that as you selected this curriculum?
So I think that one of the main things we're noticing is inconsistencies across science classrooms. That was one of the first things I also started in January, December, and kind of did an assessment of different high schools and different teachers. And so one of the first things that I identified with the high school science teacher leaders was creating common labs, because there are kids who go through and get 6 labs in a year, and there are kids that go through science classes and don't get labs for their full 3 years of science. And so this material, the ebook is fully online. It would be fully on Chromebooks, but it wouldn't be the daily lesson plan. That's kind of like the resource that kids would be engaging with independently. They may do that during class time if that's appropriate for the lesson. But every unit plan has a daily 5E lesson that has students engaging. 5E lesson is like explore, engage, elaborate. So it's really getting kids to kind of learn science through inquiry. This is not rated green on ed reports. And so one of the big things that we did was look at why it wasn't and make sure that we are, in my role, like coming up with ways to supplement it. So we're not going to adopt it exactly the way that Discovery is doing. We really want to weave it in with some of the strengths that we already have across our schools when it comes to science, and not just kind of blindly adopt something, but really make it fit for Providence. But as that kind of like core resource, it seems like it's a very relevant and authentic way for kids to access the material. And it's the first time I've seen a textbook where if a kid doesn't know a word, they can just click. It's like kind of the Kindle aspect of things where you can click on it, it defines it, you can change it to a different language, you can link it to something else. It's kind of the future, I think, of how kids will be engaging with this kind of material. But yeah, I definitely think it alone is not the only resource. We as a district want to create a science scope and sequence that walks teachers through what each unit should include as well.
And I think my name's Matt Joseph. I know we've met a few times, executive director for teaching and learning. But you'll see tonight, because we're going to be finding here a lot. You saw with Ruth and Emily, and as our team starts to come up here, besides all starting after October, is that you're getting content experts sharing this curriculum. And it's not that we are presenting it and then saying good luck. Emily's going to be in the classroom, Ruth's going to be in the math classroom, Becca's going to be in the Marcella. So as we continue to present tonight, we're not only presenting you with these resources for students, we're also presenting the individuals, the leaders, the educators who are going to be there every step of the way. I know hearing some of the questions you had from the last presentation, that's going to come up a lot as we started late in the process, but now we're coming together with efficiency and a longer term plan, and that's where we're presenting it all at one time, because you'll see the longevity of having these resources, not only the physical or the digital resources, the individuals to make it happen for our teachers.
Was there another curriculum that was green on ed reports that we didn't use?
No, there's
This is
no.
not a green curriculum.
So I will say there's been very few high school curriculums that have actually been vetted for Discovery or for ed reports. But we saw 3 of the 4 had been vetted and none of them had hit. It all comes down to alignment with NGSS. So it's not that it's not rigorous enough, it's that it's not aligned in the way that NGSS is specifically laid out, which means that we can manipulate it to do some of that alignment ourselves.
That's why having the science experts or the content experts on the team is going to make that a very smooth transition.
And this would include, like, they've been really helpful with supporting teachers and offering PD and making sure that they feel
ready to go with the resource.
Any other question? Do we have a motion to? So move. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any abstention, any oppositions? The ayes have it. Thank you. Imagine.
Hello, my name is Amelia Fons. I am the supervisor of dual language programs and services for Providence. And so I am here to recommend the Imagine Learning contract. It's a renewal contract. And it's for our elementary, all our elementary, middle schools and high school, central high school. And so the licenses that would be purchased would provide students, especially our MLL students, with support in developing English language and literacy, and also for our students who are in bilingual renewal language programs, it would support with their Spanish language and literacy development. And you want to speak to the next?
Sure. Imagine Learning has a couple of different branches. Amelia can speak specifically to the MLL portion of it, and they also offer illustrative math, accelerated math course, which we are looking to purchase for our advanced math classes in middle school. So for that course, it'll be the curriculum online and student books and teacher editions and PD for those courses that lead to Algebra 1 and 8th grade, for 6th and 7th grade.
Thank you so much. I like the way you present this one, the breakdown that we've been asking for. Thank you for doing that. Any questions?
Yeah, really quick question. It says that it's for all elementary and middle schools and only Central High School. Is there a reason why?
Right, so the elementary schools, so Imagine Math Language and Literacy and Imagine Espanol is for grades K to 5. And then in the middle schools, that's where the math licenses would be allocated. And then also Central High School, right?
I can speak to that.
Okay.
So as a district, we adopt English language development resources for all of our dependent learners. So that's for the K-5. And then as a district, we adopted a math resource for all middle schools. Imagine Math also provides resources specifically for just like a math supplemental, like a tutoring program that as an MO office, we're not like buying for everyone outright, but we did put it in as an option that schools have. K-12, any school can choose if they want a supplemental resource to support specifically multilingual learners in math, because it has a lot of language supports embedded. That high school happens to be the only high school who is investing in that from their own Title I funding. And it is, something we recommend. We just can't purchase it for everyone across the nation. If you're familiar with the Counseling Green City Schools, they did a study to see which online math platform was really supported for MLLs, and they created this one as one of the top 4 in the nation. So we highly recommend it, but we give that as an option to schools, which is why that's for.
Yeah, so all elementary school principals and middle school principals wanted it, and only one high school principal.
So there's like they said, there's several different licensed products in here. The English language development and Spanish language development, every single elementary school is getting. There are illustrative math products that every middle school is getting, and then additionally, there's it's called Imagine Math, which supports students with like math facts and just like a support in it's like a supplemental to whatever math core they're using. And that one was available to every school, but only that high school ended up putting it in their budget.
Any other question? Do we have a motion to recommend this for approval?
Motion.
So moved. Second. All in favor? Aye. Any
Aye.
opposition? Okay. Any opposition? Any abstentions? Yeah, ayes got it. Thank you so much.
Can I please follow up as well? I'm a bit confused. I'll follow up with you guys, all right? Thank you.
Thank you. Cengage Learning.
Hi, I'm Mary Beth Grasselton, I'm the supervisor of multilingual instruction.
And I'm Jennifer Efline, Executive Director of Multilingual Learners. This is a contract that Mary Beth supervises, so she's going to present, and I'm here in case you have any additional questions.
So the MLO office is recommending a contract with Cengage Learning. It is a renewal of the ELD curriculum used by our secondary and multilingual language students. It meets the criteria stipulated by DOJ agreement, but along with that, we put out multiple RFPs and have them reviewed, rated by the team, and also we have teacher and admin feedback, and we have the highest rated RFPs, including them with new products presented to us, and this is kind of where we ended up. So, and just to review it quickly, it's they provide a curriculum for secondary English language development, and it's aligned to WIDA standards, it's aligned to Common Core standards, and it helps educators set individual language goals for MLL students in the ELD block in secondary school.
Thank you.
Sorry, ELD block.
I'm sorry, English language development.
English language development, there's so much.
Our
educational jargon.
DOJ agreement requires that every single multilingual learner have a designated period a day of English language development, and we have to have a core resource for that English language development block, and that has been Cengage.
Sir,
No, I'm good.
so I see, oh, sorry.
I was told to be brief, so you can ask all your questions.
Professional development free.
Free.
How do we get that free?
The contract, anything over $500,000 is, we have free keeping, and it's over
We got it.
$500,000.
See, $1 million and we didn't have professional development free.
Oh, yeah, no, we have.
But
free.
for you,
Yeah.
well, I think we need to get that free for others. One other question I like to ask DOJ. I was going to ask that. So this is a requirement for part of the requirement for DOJ, the same program we've been having.
It's a requirement that we have a curricular resource, a core curricular resource for the ELD block.
Okay.
This happens to meet the requirements for supporting students with English language development that was selected with input from teachers, admin, and the MLL team.
It actually best met it out of all the RFPs we reviewed, and the teachers in particular seem to really like it and had some success with it.
So as it is right now, how is the district faring with all those things, with issues we have with the DOJ? Right?
Well, we just submitted our
sorry,
end
I'm
of year.
asking you.
Yeah, we just submitted our end of year reports, which are due every July 15th. So, improvement every year. Definitely English language development is one of those. So making sure that every student has access to that period every day and that they're getting high quality instruction during that block. So this will definitely support us in that.
Any other questions?
And there's you can't use Imagine Learning for English language development, it's just.
No,
it
Imagine
doesn't have
is a
the
supplemental.
It's supplemental, not core.
We can't,
Yeah.
and rightfully so, we can't just put kids on a computer, like it has to be taught direct instruction by a teacher. And so Cengage is that resource that has not only workbooks and textbooks, it does have an online component, but it also this year we're buying a lot of the things that we haven't been able to afford in the past, thankfully, to ESSER funds. So there are a lot of classroom libraries, leveled readers that students will have access to next year, which is why this contract is actually bigger than it has in prior years.
And there's a big push on productive language for students, so this has a really strong writing component that's going to be really for a lot of secondary teachers and students.
Can the company give us information on the utilization rates of those different components so we can understand if we want to purchase those things next year? Sounds like we're getting a fuller package this year. You might not always be able to afford it. If they could provide some feedback on, what is most useful to the district, what we're using this next year, that would be helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. We can definitely do that. We look at the teachers too and see kind of what we see in terms of outcomes and that sort of thing.
Do we have a motion?
Motion.
So move. Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Moving to Vista Higher Learning.
Once again,
Again?
once again, our office, along with the Teaching and Learning Office, is recommending a new contract with the vendor, Higher Learning. This contract includes new core curriculum
for K-5 English language development. It has newcomer curriculum for newcomers and sight students. And this contract also includes foreign languages licenses for Spanish, French, and Italian. And again, this meets the criteria set out by DOJ. It was also the same pretty rigorous, quite rigorous review process where we went through quite a few RFPs, got teachers involved, admin, coaches, and had everybody present to a whole lot of people, and this is where we landed. Part of why we chose this is it has a very strong, it's directly designed for English language development. It's got a very strong oracy component because kids, especially in all districts, but speaking is our lowest, area for students. So they're actually able to record. There's a lot of recording and they can actually speak online and with each other. It's very intentional around productive language, which is what the research supports for us. They too have web-based and paper-based materials. So they have, they have books. They also provided us with a 45-minute built-out ELD block. So we're working this year. This is the first time there's been core curriculum for elementary for ELD. So we're working this year to really build this out with the teachers. We've had teachers working groups coming together to try to really flesh out the curriculum in that 45-minute block. So it's exciting.
I'm Rebecca Clausen, I'm the coordinator for world languages and biliteracy. This is super exciting for us because we've never had a unified curriculum for French, Spanish, and Italian. Kind of all the schools have been doing their own thing, and so this will give us the opportunity to share resources, to have common PD together, to help when students change schools. There's a lot of learning loss when a student changes school, especially in world language, because there's just so many different topics you could cover. If each school is kind of all on the same page that way, it would make it a lot easier for students to switch schools and kind of just seamlessly flow into the next class. So we're really excited about it.
It's also aligned with the TAP initiative to increase the CO by literacy for students graduating, which she had some pretty good success with this year already. So that's kind of.
Okay. How many languages are we looking at now?
So for this curriculum, it's 3. It's French, Spanish, and Italian. So we also teach Japanese and Latin at classical, but because it's just classical, they're kind of on their own anyway. We don't have to align them to other schools because they're the only ones that teach those.
I thought we'll be able to push the same unity all across the school with that.
Yeah. So in those 3 languages, yes, but Japanese and Latin are kind of the outliers because they would cover different things anyway because they're not grammatically similar and all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
And this is a new one. This is a new company. So do we have any rap sheet of the achievements on this company that we're looking at now? This time?
Yeah, we have a lot. I'm not sure what's in
It
here.
was part of the review process.
Yeah.
To look at their prior experience working with other private districts, they had to demonstrate that.
And you get a good recommendation from them in
Yeah.
terms of what they've done in the past?
Yes, we did, actually. It was a pretty rigorous process. They presented multiple times and provided us with a lot of information and actually people we can call that are using it, that sort of thing.
Any other questions?
I have a question. So in terms of them being unified across the schools, say a teacher or department feels like some modifications need to be made in terms of, because obviously students do learn at different paces and things like that, are they able to modify it to their classroom needs? And is there like protocol that have to go through in terms of who they notify, who have to change this to improve the classroom, that way my students learn better? Or what can we do to make sure that the students actually understand the language that they're going to be taking during the academic?
Yeah, so throughout this year, I've been meeting with teams of teachers to kind of develop this curriculum out. And we've definitely talked about things like that. And so it's not going to be a rigorous, like all schools are going to be on page 45 on Monday, February 22nd or whatever. It's not going to be like that, but just kind of to give a pacing guide of just kind of, this is about how long you should take. But we definitely said, this is going to be kind of a trial, and we'll adjust the curriculum as we need to. We'll see if we do less units or more units or however it shakes out. But we want to make sure that students are having a good run.
Does this tackle all of our language barriers that we currently have? Does it tackle all of them?
What do you mean by that?
Like the different languages of the students in our district?
So for English language development, that block, it really focuses on learning English. So even though students may come from a variety of different language backgrounds, that block is taught solely in English. When there's other core content like math, social studies, science, we always want to make sure that there is home language support, because students can understand content in their own language and show that they understand something in their own language. We're not measuring language there, we're measuring content knowledge. But for ELD, we are measuring English language proficiency, so it's only taught in English.
And, you know, you're probably thinking like it's good to have first language support in certain situations, but this is very English language learning class, so which is pretty much.
But for world language, they have a lot of options, which is one of the reasons I think we chose it, because they just have a ton of different resources for language learning in general.
Any other question? Do we have a motion?
Motion.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. American Medical.
Just to get on paper, we still have about 10 items.
No, 8.
We pulled that one.
No, we have 8 left. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
And TNTP. And the TNTP.
We're close.
We're-
We're all
okay.
together.
All right.
We'll cruise through this stuff. Yeah, not even.
Yeah.
We have to get to retreat at 6:30, right?
Is it in the basement?
I'll talk fast.
Okay.
So good evening, my name is Rebecca Sullivan-Fisk, I'm the supervisor of literacy, so I'm here to present around ARC or the Energy Company, so we're looking for approval for $1,988,289. So ARC this would be our third year with ARC. It provides core curriculum for our K through 8 classes in ELA, and then 6 through 8 in addition also provides personal lessons. The contract right now would include all the materials, site licenses, supplies, and professional development as well. Professional development we will see for our literacy coaches and teacher leaders, and for our trainer model. And so to be brief, so I'll take questions at this point.
Is this a similar rate to what we paid in the past for this?
I was going to ask that question because I remember.
Yes.
It is.
It is, great.
This is
Very low
the
money.
going rate for
ARC is
district.
lovely. My kids love it. I think it's a wonderful program.
And it's comparable to other solution providers.
Okay. So we have good record of this because I know the district has paid a lot of money on this last year. I'm very sure we're going to come back with another revision or amendment, because we had a couple of
We
amendments
had a
last
couple
year.
in the past, yes.
Yeah, like 6 times amendment.
There's a lot of material involved, so schools are.
But I think very similar to what you're saying, and it's been a very consistent kind of dialogue tonight, was amendments because there was sporadic of the team to launch these large-scale curriculums. So not only are we coming to you with a large dollar amount, we're coming to the people who are going to put them together. So yeah, there was amendments because this year Becca reviewed all of the orders. Becca reviewed before they went out. So having that in place hopefully will reduce some of the amendments, but also get accuracy to what will be in the schools, what will be in the students' hands, and what will be taught to get you the data to show them.
Any other question? Do we have a motion to?
Motion.
So move.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstention? Any opposition? The ayes have it. McGraw-Hill Literacy.
Stay right here.
To you.
We're here for a bit.
Okay.
So this would be for, the portion of our McGraw-Hill contract on literacy, which is providing study sync curriculum, for our 9th through 12th ELA core classes. This would be our second year using study sync. Similar to our contract, this includes professional development along with site licenses for every school, and some schools are also getting novel bundles included within that.
Okay.
This
is a
amount as
textbook.
well also includes a set of textbooks that relate to social studies work at the high school. That's included.
Okay. Any question? Any question? In the absence of any question, can we have a motion to recommend this for approval?
Motion.
So move.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any oppositions? The ayes carry. And we're moving on to Microhill Math.
Social studies.
Oh, sorry. Social studies.
So I also want to introduce our social studies supervisor who has not been here before. If you want to introduce yourself, and I'll dive into the recommendation.
Hello, nice to meet you, and I'm a couple of you. I
I haven't seen a class
Jesus.
before, but hey, that's.
just so you know, sixth grade or so the social studies supervisor as of this past February. I'm happy to be here to chat about what we're proposing this coming school year.
So as you're seeing, we're pulling together this team, and each individual coming forward is coming to you with content experts, either as content expert in the classroom, coming from vice principal, coming from the teacher leader. And one of the things that we're doing this year is continuing to be efficient and be forward thinking. As the state is looking to update the social studies standards for the state, we started to look at that. The initial rollout was going to be for this coming school year, but they're not ready to come out yet. But we had a chance to preview that and looking forward to what is coming and to get ahead of the game, to have that long-term vision to support our teachers and to support our students. Within that, we've had a civics committee this year that consisted of students, that consisted of current teachers, that consisted of community members to talk about bringing civics education into our schools. So through all of that in the process, as we look to update the course book next year for the high school, we're adding 2 courses. We're adding law and government, and we're adding civics education as a full year course versus just as a half year course. And in doing that, one of the missteps I have seen, again, I've been here a very short time, but researching some of the past trends, is not having the material ready for our teachers in launching new courses. So it was critical to us to vet multiple resources to also get curriculum for these classes and resources. The other piece is the reason it's one company, it's about a little over 500,000, is because consistency. You'll hear me say that anytime I sit in front of you. It's about the consistency, and having McGraw-Hill for both of the new courses allow that enhancement of professional development, conversations. We also have a relationship with the vendor representative as well. And through this recommendation, we'll get textbooks and online curriculum. And because of our partnership, they have an 8th grade law piece too that they're going to provide us teacher access if there's any resources we want to bring to it as well. So that is our recommendation today, to bring this forward for our new 9th and 10th grade class for these resources for September.
Yeah, and I think in addition to that, just to add, McGraw-Hill really did, the courses came along before the vendor, and they really did meet the content that's in the course much better than anything else we looked at, and that was critical because when you put a class in front of a teacher, in front of students, and the actual curriculum doesn't meet the content that's in the course, that's problematic. So that was another huge selling point for me when we looked at McGraw-Hill.
And one of the advantages you're seeing, at least through this time, when Emily was here earlier presenting Amplify and presenting Discovery tonight, presenting McGraw-Hill, we have teachers who've taught the classes that they're going to be supporting. So the resources that we're bringing to you aren't just ones that we saw, we bring to you, the teachers who utilized and have seen it in front of students.
I think I'm looking at 2 different things, and maybe that's why I'm confused when I was mentioning. So I see literacy, 493,000, literacy, 505,000. So I don't see social studies in that. So this summary page has 506 literacy. Am I seeing something different? Is it on that?
When you open up the social studies one, the vendor name actually says McGraw-Hill literacy on the top. Someone forgot to change that literacy word to social studies.
The social studies.
Okay.
Because this is having 2 different values.
I'll update that. It was probably me. I'll go on.
Yeah.
But the rest reads as social studies. So I
The
mean, I can-
social studies is a 505.
I ran through this 505, 725.
Yeah, so see, under this, what I'm looking at here has literacy, has 505, has 495, literacy. has
Right hand
490.
is the one we're going to talk about.
Okay, so we need to change the page so that we can,
Sure.
we want to be looking at the same thing, not you having something different, which is
Yeah, of
from
course.
what I.
100%.
Thank you. All right. So we're gonna make a change on that
So
one.
for social studies, are there ed reports ratings for these, or is that not relevant for social studies specific?
Since we're not having full curriculum for the entire school, these are just resources for the classes. It doesn't go down to that level of rating, where the Amplify was green on ed reports and Discovery, we just heard of, was looking through it. It doesn't go to that depth of review, because it's a one course
Just to
for
add
all the high schools.
To add a little bit, there's nothing on ed reports for social studies at this moment.
Okay, interesting. Okay. I'm really happy to see you propose something in civics and social studies. We've been talking about it for a long time, and it's a big need in the district. I'm very supportive of us.
In terms, I think in terms of, I like the contract. There are definitely things that we need.
Okay.
In terms of, this is a question, so I'm understanding the contract correctly. This is an extra resource that the students are going to be able to use in the classroom.
It will be the resource, because in launching the course, we, our team wrote the scope and sequence, wrote the kind of pathways through. So to do that, we didn't want teachers to then have to go find their own resources. So it is the resource for it. It's not a full-blown curriculum for the entire school.
Oh,
So it's what they're teaching, and then they have that piece online.
And it's both the digital and the physical materials.
good. Any other question? Do you have a motion to recommend this for approval?
Motion.
So move. Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? Any abstention? The ayes have it. Mark now. Mark.
Again.
Oh,
Putting our steps in tonight, if anyone's a quick then.
So this contract is a renewal contract for our middle and high school math curriculum, which is illustrative math. Illustrative math is the curriculum, McGraw-Hill is the publisher of this. It's for all math materials, licenses, and PD, and it covers 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, algebra 1, geometry, algebra 2.
Do we have any questions for me?
It will be our 3rd year of implementation in middle school and our 2nd full year in high school.
In high school.
Assuming the teachers are supportive of this, and we've been happy with
Yes,
so far.
yes. So it's a highly rated curriculum. We've aligned our math system to support it as well, and invested a lot in supporting the illustrative math curriculum. Its focus is a problem-based curriculum, so it's really teaching math through problem solving, through inquiry, really highlighting those math practice standards, discourse, and student ownership of math.
Any other question? Do we have a motion to recommend this for approval? So move. Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? Any abstention? The ayes have it. Thank you. Great minds.
We're like a 4.
Okay.
So Great Minds, this is a renewal contract for our elementary math curriculum, also known as Eureka. And it's for all materials, licenses, and professional development. It's our 3rd full year of implementation. And it is also a highly rated curriculum on ed reports. Many schools have used it beyond the 3 years as well.
Awesome. Any question? Do you have a motion? So move.
Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Mind Research Institute. Am I right?
That is correct. So Mind Research actually is a group that studies mathematical thinking. And they produce a product called ST Math. And through that, it's a program focused mostly in elementary schools, and that's what the proposal we're bringing for you today. 110,000 will be for 11 elementary schools. So it was one of the resources that our department looked at and recommended to schools that they could use. And what it is a game-based non-literacy tool for students to learn math through puzzles, through algorithms, through games, and it can be used to enhance their mathematical skills. It also has a lot of data reports and communication through families as well, for families. So it is a new product. Actually, it was here a few years back, But now with some of the updates and having the math supervisor in place, and I've actually used this product in the last 2 districts I was in with high success for our students, mostly because it's game-based with very high MLL population. There's no reading involved in the math solutions, and it's really puzzle-based where students learn the actual process of and foundation of mathematics. It's not replacing our math curriculum, it's enhancements that students can use within their classrooms. So 11 classrooms, 11 schools.
11
sorry.
schools.
11 schools, $10,000 per school.
That's good. That's up to the 110,000. Any questions?
There's time and space in the schedule to integrate this.
So
Clear idea of how this would fit in.
elementary schools have a 90-minute math block. And so the idea of if the Eureka math lesson is roughly a 60-minute lesson, then you have 30 minutes for things like centers. ST math could be a center, so kind of using it within that time frame.
And the recommendation, I know you had said earlier for one of the other proposals around kids being on computers all the time. Grades K through 2 is only around 10 minutes 3 times a week. And then in 3 through 5, it's 20 minutes 3 times a week. So it's not that they're gonna leave the whole group instruction and then go sit on a computer. That's not the intention of this.
It is very different from any other computer-based.
They can have access to it every day.
And at home.
And that was the next question.
Yep.
And it says that they're able to take their time with this particular, like,
Yeah, it's not like a time test or anything that they progress as they complete puzzles or quizzes, and it's set to their own abilities, and also share each one of them is built differently for a different math concept. So the teacher will see what students are struggling with, they're flying through. It's also the time based in it to see how long they're on each of the puzzles.
the teacher are going to modify it, individualize it, to the table to obviously take their time with it.
They can change the pathway, but yeah, it's really student.
As long as it's not like something that's just set, like computer based, like something that's product where is there
No,
just
it's actually,
concrete?
it's however the students finish one puzzle in the time base will actually cue what's coming next.
Correct.
All right. Any other question? We have a motion to recommend this for approval.
Motion.
So move. Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Math for law.
Still us.
Math for Love is the curriculum we are using for summer school for kindergarten through 3rd grade. What it is you get a kit that is filled with manipulatives, things like pottery blocks, linking cubes, hands-on games. And it's a play-based curriculum to teach problem solving and rigorous math. So really developing fluency through problem solving, through games, through interesting hands-on tasks. It comes with a pre and post assessment, and part of the idea of having this curriculum that we are using in summer school to engage students is also that we now have these kits that we can use throughout the year. So as a supplemental math resource to get it more hands-on, especially with our youngest learners.
Also, because I was looking at this and it's for the summer, but you're saying that it could be used beyond the summer.
Because it's physical materials,
Okay.
we have these now. And so the great thing about this is that teachers have now had PD on using manipulatives, on teaching through games that they will now take into their classrooms during the year. And we have the physical kits and we can use them again next year and upcoming years.
Sounds like a great idea.
Yeah.
Like there's an absence of play-based learning in school. So.
The interactive part of it is a huge piece. And
Yeah.
that's the engagement, keeping the students engaged
Engaged.
piece is very important because nowadays, obviously, with technology rising and everything, it's very hard, especially when it comes to those particular courses like math and like social stuff like that. It's very hard to keep them focused, but if they have that engagement piece where they're still able to learn and engage with the teacher, that's very important.
And it builds stronger conceptual understanding as well.
Do we have a motion to recommend this for approval? So moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Any abstentions? Ayes have it. Thank you. New classrooms.
So that's us again. It's another summer program, and as you shared, Ruth just talked about what our lower elementary students are doing. This is some of what our 4th through 8th graders are utilizing for the summer. It's more of a computer-based program. I talked about ST Math for the school year. This is another computer-based program compared to one that you might have heard of, Khan Academy, in a sense, where students learn at their own pace. They have an opportunity to build through their algorithms to get the next skill that they need. It was an opportunity to get this into our summer learning program to allow for students to get data both at the beginning of the summer and then throughout the 4 weeks to see where they are. A little bit different than the Math for Love. This was almost also a pilot as well to look at if this was something we wanted to bring into for next year. Because it wasn't physical materials, we have an opportunity to see how our students interact with it and to see if it makes the gains that we're looking for. So the Math for Love was for our lower elementary students, and the new classrooms was for our upper students. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. Any questions? Do we have a motion?
Motion.
So moved. Seconded. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? Any abstentions? Ayes have it. This item number 12, we have not been able to go through it. Thank you so
All right.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are we ready for that right now? TNTP. 6632. What are we gonna do? The president is here.
You have minus 3 minutes.
All right, well,
How many minutes do you think? Because this is.
It's
TNTP, we can try to go, because you'll allow, but,
We had -2 minutes.
-2. We'll try to make that happen. So I don't know if this Claire Turner, she works on our leadership development team. Crystal Lofton, who leads that work, is out of the office. So we all work very closely on it. So I was going to present the contract, but it would have been this time in 2020. We received a grant from the U.S. Department of Education to revamp leadership development in the district. It was for $10 million over 3 years, and TNTP was awarded as one of our partners in that project. To help lead a lot of the work that is building capacity in the district for that to be transitioned in-house, so we can do that once the grant expires. So what you'll see before you is a contract to continue that work with TNTP that they've been doing with us since the start of that grant. Their work is fully funded off that U.S. Department of Education grant. So the work they've done, the grant we received from the U.S. Department of Education focuses on evaluation, professional development, and compensation with pathways. And TNTP plays an integral role in supporting that work. So the specific scope outlined for this coming year, and just to explain a little bit of why the contract is structured the way it is, you'll see 2 scopes, one that runs through September 30th, and then one that runs from the October to the following September 30th. And that's to align with the federal government's fiscal year. So their fiscal year runs October 1 to September 30. So that's different than ours and why we structured the contract the way we did. But that first scope will focus on the work being done over the summer. That's to onboard and support new principals, new APs, and other leadership team members in the district. And also to help prepare a revised evaluation system for our principals. Scope 2, which runs through the course of the September or October 1 through the following September, focuses on professional development that we'll be working with principals on throughout the year and align to that new evaluation system. So I'd be happy to answer questions like clear.
We're almost done, Madam Vice Chair.
We're in trouble.
Thank you.
Any question for?
So the principals are taken out of the school during the school day to do this leadership coaching. Do they have separate PD?
You can correct me, but so a lot of this happens over the summer. So that first scope is happening over the summer. Some of the other professional development happens during the school year, but
The scope 1 will be actually happening over the next couple of weeks. We have new leader academy, which will be occurring next week, in which we will onboard the new assistant principals and as well as principals that have been in the district for under 3 years. And that professional development will continue through school leader academy, which runs through the first 2 weeks of August. And then throughout the school year, there will be cyclical professional developments that will most likely be a 1-hour Zoom
about once a week for 2-month cycles, and then there'll be a break, and then there'll be additional cyclical work, but it'll all be over Zoom so that the principals do not have to leave their schools. In that if there are pressing concerns that occur during those meetings, they can step back and attend those, and the meetings are recorded as well in case they have to attend to day-to-day school matters.
Okay.
So this is different than the coaching that the principal had in the meeting in the past year, where they meet with someone from the district. It's basically a layer between them and the superintendent.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, so this is so they receive like one-on-one coaching from their supervisor, the network staff who will do that. This is to provide more group professional development.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. The principals will also receive one-on-one training from their executive directors. That's what transformation officers are turning into. This is to provide an outside layer of support and training on the top of the district support that they will be coached on.
That's great. And we're gonna get more into the executive directors and the network.
Sure.
Okay, great.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion?
Motion.
So move. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? Any abstentions? The ayes carry. Thank you. I think we have some.
Yeah, we have ordinances to go through, and I know we're short on time, so yeah, I want to be respectful of everyone's time. So to give a kind of context, we had shared ordinances 2 or so months ago when they were in draft form, and we wanted to come back with the final version as we've gotten updated revenue figures from the city of Texas. So we had a brief presentation. The presentation just explained a little bit about what the ordinances are. And I'm happy to do that. Or if people felt like they had enough time to read through the ordinances, I'm happy to just answer questions that people have on the ordinances. So you let me know based on your time. I'd be happy to do the presentation.
Are you going to present that at the board meeting? I don't know.
Would you like?
I just have one, like, kind of bigger picture question. Can you explain the new structure of the transformation officer is intended to and how the reporting works between superintendent and principal and everyone in between?
Sure. So when you look at the board chart in terms of direct reports to the superintendent, there's myself, who oversees kind of the operations side of the house, the chief of staff, which we're in the process of hiring, and then Joan, the senior advisor, and on her side are academics and schools. So underneath, directly reporting to Joan are the 2 assistant superintendents, James Boyd and Patricia Royal. James oversees kind of the secondary schools. Joan oversees the elementary. Patricia oversees the elementary schools. There are then.
That was the prior network, right?
They were called No, they were called network superintendents. So you had a few years ago, Sue Chin was in a similar role as what Patricia is. So then underneath there are 2 elementary executive directors, a middle school executive director, and then a high school executive director. Each of them are the direct supervisors of principals, so they tend to have a supervisory load of 7 different schools that they're overseeing.
And the motivation to move that model over what we did last year.
I think some of it, there's a few changes that have happened to the previous model. One of which was you had a lot of staff in the networks with some of the special education team, the multilingual managers who are in the network reporting to those individuals. And some of that got disconnected from the policy and compliance work that needs to be done in central office, whether it's special education or multilingual. So a lot of that staff has kind of been brought back to the central office in terms of working for the special education team and multilingual team. I think for the transformation officers and the executive directors, I think some of it has to do with alignment across elementary schools and secondary schools, knowing that they operate a little bit differently in terms of the needs of those schools. And so before, you had 4 individuals who were 2 at elementary, 2 at the high school reporting up, and there was just less. It was coordinating across 4 individuals versus having someone who's overseeing just the elementary portion and the secondary portion. So it's been a change a couple times over the past few years.
Yeah.
And you said we haven't, sorry, you said we haven't hired a chief of staff yet.
It is in process, yeah.
It's in the process. So we're looking at like applicants.
Yes, yeah, so I haven't been doing the hiring, but, I know they've been looking at, I think they've got some finalists, but they've been looking for candidates for that.
So in the interest of time, since this presentation, I think we can make it a full school board.
Okay.
But then we have the meeting because this is 6:41, we're 11 minutes. We're gonna have time. So I think this is a commitment for us to adjourn this meeting into the next one and we can take a look at this.
Okay.
I know you sent an email to us, so we'll go through the email and if we have any question, we can let you know.
Okay.
So we have motion to adjourn.
Motion. Second. We've been battling all night, huh?
All in favor?
Motions, aye.
Any abstention, any opposition, the ayes have it. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Tyrell, just because you're 5 decades younger than me.
5 decades. Oh my God.
Did you really say that?
That's a joke.
Dude, I want you to.
I know, no, that's why I asked.
Bro.
I've met him at the playground, I'm ready roping it in, put it in the sock.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. So, well, you know, I heard about it. I ain't gonna say nothing. I didn't hear nothing. I'm just making it.
No, but you don't, that's what it was telling us right now.
Is the meeting happening here? Huh?
Yes.
Oh, why am I packing up? We got a retreat. How you doing?
Good, how are you? Alan, you need a hand here? Yeah, we did it was shock and awe campaign, did it in like 3 days. What do you do at church, Tyrell?
It's called Shiloh Gospel Temple. It's right on Charles Street.
Yeah.
And like Providence and then
The North Providence line?
Yeah. On the other lines.
So by like Il Finello?
It's a little bit before that Walgreens.
All right. Yeah.
Before the Walgreens.
Yeah. I grew up on Nelly Street, Charles Street. Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. Which side?
It was closer to like Ranch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That part of Jamaica.
You're at the line too. It ain't too far from Providence. You're close.
No, I was in Providence.
Is this
a normal amount? This seems to go out.
We don't normally have to, I don't normally have to be timekeeper.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I'm leaving, so I can like set everybody.
That's right. Everybody on the fence.
Faster.
Yeah, sorry to hear that.
No, interesting. But no, I mean, it seemed like a lot of like.
Colorado, Denver. Yeah, it was now or never.
Yeah, it's great.
I'll let you know, 'cause, let's see if you're on the corner here. I want to meet you too. Friend, small business owner, and he's been trusted since he went to board member. So he has a future Providence public school student.
Yeah.
Superintendent, superintendent. Yeah, we love, we're a very big supporter.
Dean, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
I haven't seen you in like 2,000 years.
No? That can't be true. See you at the last meeting. Actually, let me see the top one. That might have my chicken scratch on it.
Are we
Did you
here or-
receive,
or not?
did you receive what I sent you?
I did. Now, I wanted to see though, there was something you referenced in that. I want to see if there's anything confirming her receipt of it. So,
Well, the reason why, I know she did not sign.
yeah.
That's why I sent it through the email.
Yeah, no,
So
but
there's
there was something you referenced in the email that you sent to Carla that would indicate to me that she had received it.
But
I have to
that's what
go
I'm
back
saying.
and look
So when
at
you
it.
received it, you must have got it out on that file because I sent a copy, well,
Yeah. No. Yep.
I know.
Yeah, no, that's fine, yeah. I'll take a closer look at it, I did see it, but I thought that there was something that Carla might have that would indicate that Elaine had actually received it.
Okay, but you